So 3, 2, 1, action. Hello everyone. This is yours truly, Jehblue or Jehblue68. Today is January the 5th, 2019. We are 5 days into the new year. It's a good buddy of mine, Mr. Mike here.
Hey Jay.
What's going on, Mike?
Pleasure
right,
to meet you, man.
That's a tight Thanos grip right there, man. Shaking the hell out of me now. So today, we got several things we're going to talk about. First of all, this is our year-end review. We're going to do a year-end review of our favorite comic books, comic book movies, what we've seen in the past year, 2018, and what we're looking forward to in 2019. I'm actually calling this Days of Future Past, because again, we're talking about the past, and we'll be also talking about the future events. Again, as it relates to comic books, comic book movies, everything things sci-fi. But there are specific subjects we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to let actually Mike lead off. But what we're going to first of all discuss is Disney acquiring 20th Century Fox. And that whole deal, you guys usually hear me talking about it, but I want you to hear from another point of view, pro and cons of what that actually means for comic book fans, for movie fans, what it will mean for 20th Century Fox looking forward, Disney looking forward, and with Marvel looking forward. That's going to be one of our first topics and subject matter. Mike, I'm going to let you go ahead and start off, man. What are your thoughts on this Disney acquiring 20th Century Fox thing? And are you pro for it, con for it, both? Do you think it's going to work out? What are the negative effects it may have on the future franchise of Marvel itself? What are your thoughts? We talked about this before many times, but this is going to be our own thoughts voiced to the public here.
Well, this is a tough one for me because, I'm not crazy about monopolies. And Disney is buying everything. And when you have any one particular entity monopolizing something, now you don't have any competition. The company gets slack. The production is not of the quality that it could be because there's nothing for it to go up against. So it's a slippery slope. And I am concerned about Disney getting acquiring a lot of the different streaming services and so on and so forth, because there are set agendas with every company. Disney,
being that we work,
Disney no exception.
Work for companies and working for companies now, we know that to definitely be true.
Exactly.
Without naming anyone.
Exactly. And now we're in a climate today where we have all of this disruption in movies where people are talking about social justice warriors. And are they creating an environment where the men in particular genres of science fiction or comic books are being put on the back burner, being made less needed, usable, and bringing women to the forefront, which I have no problem with. I mean, women as heroes have been around forever.
Yes.
Has
created by men.
Right. Has it lacked, as far as in cinema and as far as in superhero movies? Absolutely. Or at least as far as leading a movie.
Yes.
And then we can talk about Captain Marvel as well.
We will.
I had a feeling that would be somewhere, on your list. So Disney's going to acquire Fox, which means, and you got to help me out with this, Jay. The good part about it, or at least on the Marvel end, is that now it's a possibility that Marvel has a lot of the characters that they didn't have before that can open up the universe. So I'm excited about that.
Right.
I just want to make sure that, I haven't been too crazy about some of the latest things that have been going on in the world of comic book movies. And a lot of it is attributed to the fact that Disney is running the show. I think the top 10 grossing movies this year all will be Disney product. I mean, that's unfathomable. I don't think that there's ever been a time in history where one movie company had the top 10 grossing movies, all top 10.
Right.
So, I don't know, man. I've got my issues with it, but anything that's going to get those heroes that I've been wanting to see on the screen back into the Marvel fold, I'm for.
Well, let's backtrack to what one of the things you said was a very vital and very important thing: no competition. And I mentioned in one of my videos before my disgust and displeasure of Netflix backing out of their deal with Marvel. Now, there's a lot of things that is involved in that. Netflix is a competitor for not only just for television, other television streaming networks like HBO or Hulu, but also for movies. Netflix actually, based upon their content at this point in time, can compete with movies. And when I say that, that means in the manner of actually keeping people home versus them going out to spend money at the theaters. And there's a pro and con with that too, and that is people feel safer and they're home. You know, they don't necessarily want to take their children out to be around strangers, or them being around strangers for that matter. So it's a comfort level that's involved in that.
But you also have the amazing ability now to have home theater that is basically, you might as well be going to the theater yourself.
Right.
You know, you can get a screen nowadays, a 50-inch screen for, you know, a couple $100 is nothing anymore.
Right.
Anymore.
And like you said, invest into a nice home theater, entertainment center, and you know.
I'll be honest with you, Jay. I don't go to the theater nearly as much as I used to. Now there are certain movies that you're just not going to get it unless you have the theater experience.
Right.
And we'll go to that. Well, I won't even bring it up right now.
Netflix.
But there are certain movies that are just made for IMAX. You gotta see them in IMAX.
Exactly. Well, but see, again, Netflix, they're getting smart to that. They have a new show on called Bandersnatch, and it's part of the Black Mirror.
I saw something commercial
series
for that on YouTube. Yes.
And the only way you can watch it is if you have certain digital media at home to be able to actually watch it and enjoy it. It has multiple endings, and those endings can be determined based upon the digital format or media that you have at home.
It is more interactive.
Right. It's
interactive. And that's where everything is going.
So that's I'm not saying that that's not anything you cannot necessarily do in the movie theater at this time. But again, we're talking about people who really nowadays, after working 5, 6, 7 days a week, having kids, you know, if you have them, and taking their kids to school and back and forth and grocery shopping and this, that, and the other, they just want to sit down and watch a movie. You know, they don't want to necessarily stand in a long line to do so. And
they don't want babies crying. But I think more.
I don't like people on cell phones when I'm watching.
But then again, I don't know about here in Detroit or Michigan, but there are some places around in the United States where theaters are no longer letting you bring babies in.
Oh wow, that I'm not aware of.
I'm pretty sure I heard this. They're trying to make that experience you know, better for people. I would have no problem with cell phones being turned off, no problem whatsoever. But the thing is, then you got to take into consideration the safety factor.
That's what I was saying.
So I don't know what you do.
So reeling it back in. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why you need and you have competition.
Right.
Well, you have to have an open market when it comes to entertainment. And one of the points that you brought out is about Disney owning everything. And when I first heard that Disney was acquiring both Lucasfilm and Marvel, I hit the panic button. And the first thing I said, I don't want to see any damn Mickey Mouse ears whenever I get ready to watch a Star Wars film or a Marvel movie. You know, I'm like, no, that you know, it's something about it that's really.
Well, we've already seen the damage. You know.
Well, I've enjoyed all the Marvel movies up to date.
Oh, not just. Well, I wasn't talking about like Marvel in particular. I was just talking about DC has damaged some properties.
Well, DC is Warner Brothers. Let's make sure we're clear on that. DC is Warner Brothers.
Irregardless, they damage some properties.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that we're clear for viewers too that DC is Warner Brothers, and so that's outside of the Disney realm. So they don't have any control over what DC does. We're going to get to DC in a moment, and even then, momentarily. Right now, we're mainly covering Disney stuff, and Disney owns, like we said, Marvel. So again, Disney, I don't know. You know, I remember a couple of years ago, Disney made the contract between themselves and Marvel public. But you actually could read the contract and see what the provisions were, what their expectations were.
Right, and when the actual deal was going to be finalized, which just happened.
And from reading, remember me, and I wish I would have brought a copy with me. Forgive me for not doing that. Where they actually have made public the contract itself.
We have the internet here, my friend.
Right. So while you're looking,
keep talking, and if I can find it, I can. If not, no biggie.
So while Mike is looking that up, but basically the contract leads way that Marvel at some point in time, if things go, what's the word, awry, or they go bad, that Marvel can, or Disney can, as a contractor, and this is again with any business, they could pull out. They could pull out for their own safety if they're not seeing that Marvel is creating the type of characters and movies and stories that people want to see any longer. They could at any point in time just pull out and say, okay, well look, we made our money, you guys are not doing things in the manner in which we originally agreed with, so we're going to pull out and let you do your own thing. The shareholders take what they want out of the deal, and they both go their separate ways. Now, again, Mike's pulling up. We're trying to look for the contract now.
We'll give it to him.
But
we're looking for the Disney Fox, right, contract?
Disney Marvel.
Disney Marvel.
Yeah, Disney Marvel. So I'm thinking that, you know, if in the event that happens, they can part ways. But then that still leads to one company owning everything. And I do agree that one company should not necessarily own everything. Where does that leave for the ability for creativity, for competition? So creativity and competition, two very key factors and important words, where you're having characters that are done pretty much, they're bland, they're being done the same way, they're one-dimensional. One thing that I love about the Netflix Marvel deal is that it allowed the characters to be done in a multifaceted way, and not all the characters were the same. And when we're talking about Marvel and Netflix, we're talking about Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and then the Punisher. And then the content of those particular characters are not necessarily for kids to view. They're very violent. They even have some sexual content in it. The content in the TV shows, the language is very adult-oriented. So even in the comic books themselves, and I brought comic books with me, by the way, and I've even showed in some of my previous videos that there are some comics that are not for kids to read. One thing that I love that comics do, and this kind of spawned from the comic book code back in the I think it was the 40s or 50s.
You talking about the comic code?
The comic code.
Oh my goodness! I believe that was.
That was back during the.
I believe it was in the 50s.
Silver Age.
No.
Golden Age.
Golden Age is roughly the 60s to the 70s. Stan Lee was with what was the Marvel called before? It was called
Timely Comics.
He was with Timely when that code was brought in, and I believe that was in the late 50s. There was a lot of censorship going on in the late 50s.
So censorship is not anything new.
Oh, absolutely
not at all.
Not.
So
the comic book code has been around for decades.
Right. And just last year, Marvel celebrated their 20th anniversary of their Marvel Knights label. The Marvel Knights label pretty much consisted of comic books that were only written for, again, with adult content, where adults could read because of the content in the comic books that were not kid-friendly. I mean, it was not like reading an Archie comic or Scooby-Doo. So the comics had violence in it. Marvel at one point had a rule where they didn't allow blood even to be shown red in their comic books, and it could not. If there was blood spilled in the comic books, it couldn't be the color red. it had to be black or some other off-kilter color. But
well, you know exactly.
Marvel
they
Knights,
they actually used the color black.
Right.
Was the principal color that they used for
right.
blood. Yep.
But Marvel Knights changed that, where they actually began to use the color, red. If a color was beat up or cut or shot, Marvel Knights allowed that to be put into their comic books, and that kind of changed comic books forever. Some of the writers who were involved in that were Mark Millar, Brian Michael Bendis, and I think J. Michael Straczynski, who wrote a lot of Thor comics.
And do you know who else you know J. Michael Straczynski from?
The TV show. What was it
One
called?
of my favorite sci-fi TV shows of all time.
Mine's too.
Come on, buddy.
Oh, man.
I want to help you.
Go ahead.
Babylon 5.
Babylon 5, right.
What a great show.
Great show.
I actually, and I don't want to derail the conversation.
That's okay.
But I actually watched the first pilot movie again last weekend. We maybe in the future sometime we can do another one of these.
Yes.
But I would definitely, there's some interesting things about Babylon 5 history that a lot of people don't know about.
And a lot of people don't even remember Babylon 5. It actually was a very innovative show. I mean, the visual effects were state of the art, even to rival a lot of so-called science fiction.
Even though when I watched it,
it
it was somewhat dated, but you got to remember that was one of the first shows that incorporated CGI.
In the 90s.
Exactly.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, some of it doesn't look half bad. It looks better than, because granted they're doing a lot of garbage CGI.
And I think that's before they actually did Jurassic Park. If I'm correct.
Yeah.
Because when Jurassic Park was done, that's when
it was much more advanced too.
Lucasfilm greenlit the prequel trilogy because George Lucas was waiting for the right type of technology to actually do the Star Wars prequel trilogy. That's of course episodes 1, 2, and 3. And whether you like the movies or not, they had the technology visually to do those particular films.
See, now I'm not coming up with I wasn't coming up with the exact content, but I don't want to spend time trying to type it in correctly.
We're not going to worry about it.
Because if I wanted to find it, I would. But here it says Disney Marvel deal, but that's about to change today after weeks of speculation. Disney's confirmed it will acquire. Okay, so this is an old kind of thing, but film properties, television business, a deal worth $52 billion. Now this is 2017. That might be different. Yeah. Still, that's a lot of cash.
Yeah. But
billions.
But the contract that I read about 4 or 5 years ago, pretty much to me as a viewer, as this is a regular person speculation, pretty much the analyzation of reading that contract, it implied that again, and this is again what any company can do this. If they're dissatisfied with the way their subsidiary is being run, they can pull out at any time, and that's pretty much what I'm gathering. That can happen, even if fans are continuing to complain that they don't like the way Disney is producing Marvel films, or where they're allowing certain films under the Marvel brand to be produced. If I'm saying that correctly, I said the same thing twice, and just in a different way.
Okay, well, actually, Jurassic Park came out before Babylon 5. Jurassic Park came out in '93. Babylon 5's first episode was '94. Although, let's remember, the pilot movie probably was being filmed around the same time Jurassic Park was. Because they had to have been filming the year before, or at least prepping.
They were still using practical effects during that time, too. But a lot of CGI was used in Babylon 5.
Exactly.
But it was beautifully done.
It was. Once again, I mean, it was one of those few science fiction shows where I could not wait till that night came.
That was on Sundays it came on, right? Or Saturdays?
Oh, my goodness. What night was that? I thought I remember them coming on like a Thursday night. Yeah, they came on during the week.
Weekday?
It was either a Wednesday or Thursday night, if I remember correctly.
And that's before cable began to incorporate everything. Where now you got to you could watch it on regular TV without having to pay, for viewership. But again, sticking to the original content here about again Disney acquiring Marvel and what it means and what what can be the stalemate of that, what can be the great acquiring all of the Marvel property, what greatness can come out of that. Well, the great thing that can come out of it, Mike just mentioned, is in getting all the Marvel characters back. See, and just to kind of familiarize some of you probably heard the story before, what happened, why is it that other Marvel is struggling along to get their characters. Well, at one point in time, Marvel Comics went bankrupt, or about to go bankrupt.
In the 1980s. In
the 1980s. Stan Lee and a couple of other folks, what they did to save the Marvel brand was sell half of their characters to other companies who wanted to do those characters. Some of those companies were when they were actually in business, Time Warner, which they're no longer in business anymore. What was the other one? That was Columbia Pictures. And I think Columbia is owned by Sony now. Columbia...
Because there were a slew of movies and TV series that came out during all that time that were being done by other... Lionsgate. That were being done by other companies. Yeah. And they were just crap.
So it's like if you own a house, okay?
They were crap.
And, you lose your job, you're not able to pay your mortgage. And so you take your furniture in your house to kind of make ends meet. You take your furniture, your most valuable furniture, your grandma's couch, your grandfather's violin, and stuff like that, your most prized possessions in your house, and you sell all those different possessions to different people. And then later on, you get employed again, you get yourself back on track, back financially stable again. You're like, you know what, I want that stuff back again. And so you try to track down all those different people that you sold your valuables to and get them back under one roof. Well, that's what Marvel is doing. And it's been a long, hard road for them to do that. One of the most powerful companies that they sold a lot of their properties to was 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox is the company that's doing what?
The
X-Men.
No. I was going to say Dark Phoenix, but right? Am I correct?
Yeah, but
then they also weren't they going to do, and they pulled back off of
Fantastic Four.
No. The other X-Men thing that they were working on. Wasn't there an X-Men movie?
The New Mutants.
The New Mutants. They pulled the same company, right?
But what I'm saying is that 20th Century Fox has been producing the X-Men films now for the last 18 years.
Yeah.
The first X-Men movie, which was directed by Bryan Singer, came out in 2000. And that was right around the time that the Star Wars prequels were out. Lord of the Rings was being done, and Harry Potter was actually being introduced to the screen.
And I lost my mind, man, because it was so exciting to see the X-Men come to life, but also Patrick Stewart, finding him as a
Professor X.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He looked so much the part.
Every role was pretty much cast correctly except for Halle Berry. And I'm sorry.
No. Not just Halle. Oh, I know. That was just, oh my God.
I mean, and we can say, and believe it or not, I know a lot of people are going to...
Why was not Angela Bassett? Why not?
Angela Bassett, I seen in an interview, she said that they weren't paying her enough money. And she wanted more money than what they were offering for that role. And I don't know what the price tag was.
She was perfect
for that role. What the money or amount of money they were offering, but it was something along the lines that she was not satisfied with whatever it is that they were offering her with an iconic character like that.
Right.
The other actors in that particular movie were being offered more money than she was, and at that time, Angela Bassett, she's still popular and well known now, but she had just done.
What's Love Got to Do with?
What Love Got to Do with
it?
She did.
There was a chain.
She had just done X.
There was a chain
under Spike Lee.
Yeah.
So she was at the prime.
She was a superstar.
She was at the prime of her career. I think she won an Academy Award for her role as Tina Turner.
No, and that
was nominated.
It was an atrocity. Both her and Lawrence Fishburne should have both been nominated. They were amazing.
Right.
Either they were nominated. I know they didn't win.
So for that, reason she was like, okay, look, you're not going to pay me some little petty salary to play this role, and I know that I may not be a comic book fan during that time, a comic book fan or reader, but I do know who Storm is. You know what I mean? Who didn't know who Storm was?
Exactly.
Because it was in the 90s that they were actually doing the, I think it was the 90s or the late 80s when they had the X-Men animated series. And that was popular within itself. Angela Bassett has children, so I'm quite sure her children probably were sitting down watching the X-Men series. But again, you know, that's one of the reasons why she decided not to accept that role. And went on, you know, to do other movies. But Halle Berry, it's not saying anything about her.
Just to, you know, keep pacing it. That's all.
So, and it's not saying anything against Halle Berry as an actress. Yes, she's a good actress, but that is not a role that to me should have been.
No, she's a decent actress.
Done in a cutesy type way, you know. And right now, I guess I'll pull out one of my comic books.
What do you got here?
I got several books here.
Let me get to.
It actually shows what Storm looks like and her magnificence. This is from X-Men Worlds Apart. This is a limited 4-part series that Marvel Comics did years back. And if you kind of look at Storm, Storm always to me was a character. Just even looking at the book itself, I'm going to turn it around too. You can see her, you know, her full power and glory. Storm always was a character to me. She's a serious character, and she's attractive, but there's nothing cutesy about her in terms of like a Barbie doll type, you know, or runway model type of character. You know, she's someone a force to be reckoned with. She's a force to be reckoned with. Powerful mutant. Actually, one of the most powerful mutants of the X-Men. And in the manner in which they portrayed Halle Berry's X-Men or Storm character, and I guess it was really the director who was at fault for that being Bryan Singer, was in a very, I don't know, it was done in mediocrity. She wasn't seen to me as the, what they call her, the Storm, the Queen of something. I don't know what the nickname they usually call Storm, but the Weather Witch was one of the words that terms that they addressed her as. But to me, Storm was not seen in the manner in which I'm familiar with reading her in the comic books. It was too much of a cutie, like a cutie pie. Oh, look how cute she is. It's Halle Berry. And we know Halle Berry's a nice-looking woman. And if Halle Berry happens to be watching this video, please don't be offended. We're talking about the character, not you as personally or you as an actress. But how the character was portrayed was not done accurately.
And let's face it, you know, at that time she was so hot a commodity that they wanted to name draw to.
Right.
You know.
Even Hugh Jackman. I mean, as great as we love Wolverine, Hugh Jackman was not accurate either.
And he never, in all of the movies, he never was quite accurate.
Hugh Jackman is 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Okay.
And Wolverine, I think in the comic books, was 4 feet something?
Wolverine in the comic books is about maybe 5 foot.
If. I know he's a little runt. You know.
And here he is.
Yeah.
Here's Wolverine.
And it's more actual size too.
That's Wolverine from the comic.
That's his more actual size.
Evolution, and you actually see him. That's in his traditional X-Men outfit or uniform.
Hugh Jackman never wore the headpiece. See, I'm a fan of headpiece. I don't care. See, they perfected it now where they're able to put headpieces on people that don't look ridiculous.
Right.
Give me their original headpieces all day long.
Yes, sir. And even Sabretooth here. I didn't like Liev Schreiber's version of Sabretooth in the movie
it was Wolverine Origins.
God.
Just a god-awful movie. God-awful movie.
The best thing that came out of that was Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. Not in that movie. I'm saying Deadpool.
Yeah. Because why would, and that was the other crazy thing about the movie. They introduced Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool with no mouth.
Right.
What makes Deadpool Deadpool? His mouth.
Exactly. The mirth with a mouth.
The mirth with a mouth. Personally, aside from how bad the movie was, I thought
Liev Schreiber
made it. I thought he made a great signature.
I like the guy that they had
him
play in the first X-Men movie that came out in 2000. He's a wrestler. I forgot his name, but he had the whole look. He's a huge guy. I can't. Tyler Mane.
Wow.
I believe that was the actor that played as. Mike's gonna look at him now, but I believe it was Tyler Mane who played as the original Sabretooth. He had the look, that vicious animal-like ferocity about him. The hair, the whole makeup basically was, to me, it was Sabretooth. He looked wild. He looked ferocious. Like he was about to attack. And if you can see that there, let's bring it a little closer to the camera. Right there, that's Wolverine, the Evolution comic book. Everything I do, I like to usually, and when you're talking about comic book movies, I have to have the comic book with me, to show, okay, this is the origin of the comic book movie. And we're talking about, the movies, you should actually build your knowledge base off of the book itself. And that's pretty much with any movie that's based off of a book, but we're specifically talking about comic books and comic book movies. So I have the comic books here to represent the characters. They're available in any local comic book store, or you can actually order some of them online. Some of the comic books that I have here, if you cannot find them in a comic book store. But anyway, back to, and I hope we're not getting off the main subject here, is I'm hoping that since Disney has acquired Marvel, that we're talking about character accuracy here. So I want to see Storm done in the manner of which I just showed with these comic books. I want to see Wolverine as a little runt, a 5 foot tall, or whatever his height is, but strong as hell with the adamantium in his bones and the bone claws, the steel claws, all of that, but just shown accurately. We want to see the characters done accurately, but also with a good story, a serious tone. One of the things that I was saying in terms of, we'll come back to that. Just right now, I think that Fox has already done most of the major Marvel comic book stories, which is a concern of mine too. They've done Apocalypse. They've done Dark Phoenix. They've done the Phoenix story, but now they're about to do the Dark Phoenix story, and they've done some of the major storylines.
Here's Taylor Mane.
Yeah, that's him. That's Tyler Mane right there.
Tyler Mane, should I say? Yeah.
Taylor Mane, but I believe it's Tyler Mane, and that's Sabretooth. That to me, look at that. Look at the claws. I mean the hair. I mean it looks just like just shown in the comic book. That to me is how Sabretooth is supposed to look. He has the fangs, he looks like an animal. And that's how Sabretooth is supposed to look. But they changed him around for some reason when Liv Tyler, who played him in the Wolverine Origins film. I didn't hate the movie, but I definitely didn't love it. It was way off in terms of like character representation. And again, origin stories, and even when they did the Weapon X thing with Wolverine, Logan, that should have been done. Actually, it should have been done a lot more violently. I hate to say, like to say it.
The other thing that didn't make Wolverine Origins that appealing, the special effects in there it's just so amateur.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't want to dwell on that. It hurts. It hurts when I see heroes.
We're saying all this basically to say is that now with Disney, the pros and cons with Disney acquiring Marvel is they have the ability to do the characters accurately. Because one of the things that a lot of fans have been complaining about is the the weakness of some of the storylines, not having all the characters there, and that goes back to Captain America: Civil War. If you've ever read Captain America: Civil War comic book, you would know that all the characters from the Marvel Universe are there, and that includes not only the Avengers, that includes the X-Men, that includes the Inhumans, that includes the Fantastic Four. Every major comic book, Marvel comic books character was in that story, as the superheroes were at war with each other. That's what's called Civil War.
So, I mean, if we're gonna wrap this up by making a. So, what do you as far as we're still talking about the Fox Disney acquisition thing?
We're still talking about that, but I would say coming out of that.
Yeah, your final. How are you feeling? Your final.
My final thoughts on that are that, again, that's just really it. Is that I'm hoping that again, under this acquirement, that acquiring their product, is that we will see all the characters, but also, is that they won't water things down.
And that's the problem. See, it's great that Marvel is getting these characters back, but boy, give them some respect.
Yes.
And
I have my Marvel hat on too. You see my hat turned backwards. Once you see my Marvel hat, you've probably seen it before in other videos, but yeah. But so yeah, as you were saying, is that what is great and it's scary at the same time. Now we kind of wrap that up a little bit. That's our thoughts on that. With the Fox Disney thing. But the next thing is about what characters have not been done at. Well, we kind of mentioned that. What characters have not been done accurately, but what characters have not been done at all.
Well, I can tell you a bunch of them, but that's only because Marvel hadn't had the rights back yet. So.
Right. Well, even on the 20th Century Fox, they didn't do a lot of.
That's true.
They didn't do characters accurately, and some characters we didn't see done at all that were imperative.
Okay, so is this topic what character? Help me out here. What
What characters we haven't seen,
and what characters
you'd like to see done under this new deal.
Okay. I got to see Fantastic Four.
Well, no, we're talking about the X-Men right now. Just the X-Men, and then we'll get to the Fantastic Four.
I thought we were just on a different subject. I thought we were talking about just everybody in general. Okay, so we're just talking about the X-Men?
What characters you want to see out of... And we're going to get to the Fantastic Four.
Okay, so what characters do I want to see out of the X-Men?
That haven't been done or haven't been done right. Don't worry, don't worry.
Well, I tell you,
don't worry, brother. I'm gonna help you out here. I'm gonna help you out. I got the books. As I said, I always carry the books with me. So,
there's not. You're gonna probably talk about X-Men characters that I'm not quite as familiar with because my appetite and my knowledge.
Well, we're not even talking about in terms of knowing necessarily who they are in terms of like their powers and abilities. Just off the top of your head,
I want to see a better Wolverine done. Really, I want to see a better Wolverine done. My favorite character, my favorite X-Men, and they can pull him right out of the Deadpool universe and bring him and do him correctly is Colossus. He's my favorite X-Men.
I think that Wolverine has been overdone.
Way overdone.
And not only that, Wolverine was never meant to be the leader of the X-Men, and they tried to portray him as that not only in the movies, but in some of the animated films or TV shows that have been done, and even in the comic books. Wolverine is not a leader. He's a wild man. He's out of control. He has no basis of anything. He's a rogue. He's not a leader. Black Panther. Storm has actually been one of the leaders of the X-Men. When Cyclops kind of went off kilter, when he kind of,
and that's another one. Thank you.
Yeah.
They Cyclops. They got to give him a lot more respect.
Yes.
Why did they kill him off in what was it, the third one? Was it Days of Future Past? Which one did they kill him?
That was in.
They killed them all off.
That was it. That was in X-Men. The what was it called? Not Days of Future Past. It was X-Men United. I think it was, or
X-Men United.
The Last Stand. X-Men The Last Stand.
That's it.
Yeah, that's when they killed him off. They introduced the Phoenix character.
But I just didn't understand anything about that movie.
Again, it was Again, the timelines are way off. The characters are way off. You know, and that's, again, and it kind of leads back into the first or initial topic. But getting back to characters that I would want to see done correctly. And I think Wolverine, when they reintroduced the original 5 X-Men, Wolverine should be the very last character. And this is what they introduced.
Absolutely right.
And the reason why I say that, because again, as I just mentioned, he's been overused. And you're free to put comments, below of what, if you agree or disagree. But I think that Wolverine should be the very last character introduced because he's been overused. And not only that, since he's one of the most popular characters of the X-Men, you leave fans on edge. When are they going to introduce Wolverine? When are they going to introduce Wolverine? So you keep fans and viewers on edge like that. That keeps them what? Interested.
Well, see, my thing is, if Marvel really wants to do it right, when they relaunch the X-Men, Wolverine should not even be there.
Yep.
Because now Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige Marvel, tends to try and extract a little bit more of the lore. So if they're going to extract the lore and reboot X-Men, the original X-Men, Wolverine hadn't gotten there yet.
Yep. So the very last one to join. And they didn't even want to join.
Exactly. I mean, I think Colossus, maybe Colossus came after Wolverine. But, yeah, I mean, so I don't even want to see him there.
Well, he has to be shown because he's a part of the original 5. But again,
Wolverine is not a part of the original.
Well, not original 5. I'm sorry, but he was introduced. But they are going to have to introduce Wolverine at some point. But he should be the very last character that you ever see.
Did you hear the latest speculation? It's ridiculous.
What's that?
That Wolverine is going to show up in Avengers.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I hope that that's definitely not true. Please, God, don't let that be true.
I don't care one way or the other. I'm at a point now, I just don't care.
But see, I do.
I don't care. I just want that movie to be great. Yeah. But anyway. So
I hope not. But again, as we mentioned, or as I mentioned, weakest character to me was Storm out of the original 5.
I'd agree.
The one that they should make the most powerful character and reintroducing her is Storm. And the best way to do that is upcoming Black Panther movie, the sequel.
But we gotta wait. It won't be for another
2021. 2021. That's fine. Take your time with it. I'd rather it be seen.
Way too much time.
I'd rather see it be done right.
You can do a movie right in a year. It's not about. It doesn't take 3 years to make a great movie. Why 3 years? I don't understand that. You gotta strike while the iron is hot. Now, but it all depends on how they're fleshing out the next phase.
Hey man, well, at least they're not doing what James Cameron is doing with Avatar.
I believe he's making 5?
4 or 5, and it was like 10 years ago the first one. So I think the iron is still going to be.
We could talk here forever, Jay, because Avatar, whatever.
Yeah. We're just mentioning it. That's all. We ain't gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
But the irons are still in the fire for Black Panther. And I don't think that 2021.
No, it's still in the fire now. But 3 years, I just think it's just so.
But keep in mind is that Black Panther is going to show up again in Avengers Endgame. So you're still going to see the character.
But Endgame is in a couple of months.
Yeah, so I'm saying.
It's still going to be 2.5, 3 years before the next Black Panther.
But I'm saying you're keeping the Black Panther refreshed in people's minds that way. It's just like if I go to a restaurant and I get an appetizer, and we run out of the appetizer, you get something to replace it real quick until the main treat comes along. So again, you keep that teaser.
Well, you know what my concern is?
Mm-hmm.
And not so much a concern because, he can be replaced. But I just have this strange feeling that, who's the guy that plays Black Panther? Help me.
Chadwick Boseman.
It's a strange feeling he could take it or leave that role. And you start pacing out these movies so many years apart, you got to look at the actor themselves. And do they really, really love the role, or are they there because it's good for them right now? But do they really? Hugh Jackman showed he really loved that role.
Yeah.
regardless of how bad the movies might have been, it didn't
Phase him.
It phased him. He always, in any performance, Hugh Jackman always brings 100%, even to a bad movie.
That's true.
Chadwick Boseman, I don't think you have a long shelf life with him. And that's my concern about spreading these movies out so far. But once again,
well, he's under contract. So if that's
how many movies?
If he gets this swayed,
how many movies?
I don't know, but I'm quite sure. But I definitely know definitely for sure he's contracted for Black Panther 2.
That's Black Panther 2.
So I'm sure if he has
Ryan Coogler is slated to
right. So I'm sure if he has any type of discouragement to do another one, that he doesn't want to be sued. And that'll definitely encourage him to do the film. But honestly, I don't see that. I don't see that he's disinterested in the character. I think that
you don't have to see it because you won't show it anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just I got a feeling he's going to be one of those actors that's just going to get tired of this, it's going to be a mark on him forever. Mm. Some actors embrace that.
Well, you know what? The beauty of that is that the comic books. So listen to what Mike just said, everybody. That's very important, and this brings us back to the comic books here. The importance of reading a comic book is because in the comic books, Black Panther gets beat half to death. He gets beaten to a coma by Dr. Doom, and guess who takes his place? His sister Shuri. She becomes a Black Panther. So if that should happen, that the actor himself is tired of playing a role, if the character isn't getting killed off,
they can pull that storyline out.
They can pull that storyline out.
Great. I would love to see that.
That's the beauty of comic books, is that Marvel already has all that covered in their books. They can pull out any story at any time, and that's really any comic book franchise can do that. But I'm talking about Marvel specifically. They can pull out that storyline and bring Shuri to the forefront as a Black Panther. That can happen, which probably will anyway. Just like Thor, if he gets killed off, Thor comes back as a woman, as Jane Foster becomes Thor. And Natalie Portman doesn't want that role anymore. She's pretty much done with playing as Jane Foster.
The one thing that I miss...
But they can introduce any actress as playing Jane Foster.
Yes. You know. And just to put a little side note here, Thor... in the comic books, had an alter ego.
Yes,
Donald Blake. And he walked with a cane. He was crippled. Yep. And he would take the cane, he would bang it on the ground, it would become the hammer, and he would become Thor.
So they could still keep Chris Hemsworth.
I would like to see that.
They could keep Chris Hemsworth, but make him become Donald Blake as a cripple.
I would love to see
something happens to him, and Jane Foster takes the place as Thor. But getting back to these characters again, what characters do I want to see done right? Okay, well, let's look at the comic books here. Do you want to do a close-up, or should I just show them?
Well, go ahead. Yes,
okay.
You can.
Well, this is one here, Juggernaut. Uh-oh.
And it's pretty close already, so you don't have to get way up on it. Let me take a look.
All right.
Go ahead.
And this is from the X-Men Black series.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Marvel just recently did books last year. They did an X-Men Gold series, X-Men Blue, X-Men Red, and X-Men Black. Well, this is part of the X-Men Black series, and it introduces Juggernaut. This is definitely a character I think that was not justified and done correctly, and that could get the credit and the showing that he deserves. Full screen as one of the arch rivals to the X-Men.
And not only the X-Men, Juggernaut has been
Spider-Man,
absolutely Iron Man.
Fantastic
he's
Four.
Been a spur in a lot of people's heels.
Yes. One character we haven't seen yet, Mojo. He's also an enemy of the X-Men, so that's a character we could possibly see. Character that definitely was not done right and pissed me off big time. One of the most powerful of the X-Men characters, or the Brotherhood of Mutants, Emma Frost. They call her the White Queen. You know, and the actress that they had play her, Emma Frost is I mean, look at that. Look, I mean, I'm not being vulgar here or anything like that or disrespectful, but she's a nicely shaped woman. You know, she's a blonde, blonde hair, blue eyes, but she's a nice looking woman. She's one of the most attractive mutants in the X-Men comics. And I'm not saying that the actress that played her is not attractive, but you know, Ice Queen. I mean, come on, she has to. To me, she has to be an actress that's got it going on, man, that can attract the eye of everyone. You know, shapely woman, but also powerful, also intimidating, and you know, she has that what you call that femme fatale look. Like, as soon as you look at her, it's like, okay, man, gorgeous but dangerous. You know, oh my God, you know, it's not somebody you want to cross. You know, I'm afraid to kiss her because she might, you know, knock all my teeth out or something like that. So that's one character. We already mentioned that's Sabretooth right there. Also, I have a little note on here. I'm gonna take this sticky note off. I have a little sticky note on here, actually referencing some of the situations in this particular story. But Domino's recently been done in the Deadpool movie, and some people liked the actress that played as Domino, others did not. They wanted to see the more traditional look. And there again is Sabretooth. But here are two characters that were shown in X-Men but weren't really done right. Well, one wasn't shown at all. And that's Omega Red right there. If you can see him. So Omega Red and Lady Deathstrike. I want you to look at that. Now, Lady Deathstrike is actually Asian. And the actress that they had play her, I think she was Asian. I don't even remember who the actress was. It was some actress I've never seen or heard of before. But look at that drawing. Look at that. Look at the artwork on there.
The colorist is outstanding. You know, a lot of people don't realize as great as the actual artist who draws the image of the characters, the colorist is the pièce de résistance. If you got a great colorist, you could be an average artist, but you can't be a great artist and an average colorist.
Exactly, well said. But that to me is how Lady Deathstrike should look. Again, she's sexy, has a sexy look, but she has that femme fatale look. She looks dangerous. She looks authoritative.
I think I date her.
I don't think so. But look at her. I mean, the claws, you know, and the look that she has in her face. Like, yeah, sure, come here. You want a hug? I'll hug you. Yep, and rip my claws right through your throat.
A bloody hug.
You know, and Omega Red back there. You know, so I want to see I want to see these characters who are underrepresented or just, you know, just not done correctly, not given the proper screen time that they should have. So those are some of the X-Men characters that we'll see. And here's one more, which is Magic. She's the sister, or the baby sister of Colossus that Mike mentioned earlier. So that's Magic there. She's actually sitting in, and I actually showed this comic book before in one of my other videos, but I just want to show her again. And she's this is a What If comic, and she's assuming the role of the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, I love those colors. But this is a character that definitely has not been shown yet at all. So, and I say that, oh, one more. And here's Gambit.
Now, this guy can't get a movie made for the life of him.
Well, thank God the guy who was trying to play him, he's not going to be playing him. What's that actor's name? And I can't.
I can't think of him, but I know you.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's not that important
to even remember.
He's not. And I think he's a horrible actor. But you know, so, and I think the only reason why he wanted that role is because of the fact that comic book movies are popular right now.
Of course.
And I think that's a foul reason.
That's why you can get Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, it's just it undermines the creativity of the character itself of this comic books of the story, and the reason why we as fans go to see comic book movies. You know, not just for actors to have their egos brushed. Okay, so we're going to move on. We've talked a lot about X-Men. And you mentioned the Fantastic Four. So I'm going to let you lead. I'm going to let you lead that. And what would you like to see in terms of a Fantastic Four movie going into the future? We've already seen a couple of iterations or versions of the Fantastic Four. All have been failures.
Roger Corman being one.
Yeah, so, you know, Chris Evans, who went on from playing
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm to now Captain America, widely accepted. I love him as Captain America. And thank God he's no longer as Johnny Storm. And then Michael B. Jordan, who also played as Johnny Storm, who went on to play as Eric Killmonger in the Black Panther. You know, it's interesting that they played, both actors played Johnny Storm and went on to become even greater characters under the MCU. How ironic is that? But the Fantastic Four movies, just, you know, God,
they missed the mark, but I'll be honest with you, I like this one.
Which one is that one?
The first one. And I mean, of course, it could have been a lot better, but I tell you, man, I enjoyed watching Jessica Alba.
I think she's definitely eye candy, but
and I'll be honest with you, man, I didn't have a problem with Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. I thought he was pretty good, and he played pretty true to the character, because even in the comic books, he's an egotistical. I mean, it wasn't well done as far as cosmetics, CGI, but there are a lot of things in that movie that were done true to the comic book. Yeah. At least they had the correct relationships of characters.
Right.
Thing and Johnny were always kind of button heads. Right. In the comic books, they butted heads all the time.
Flame on.
But the thing that hurt me the most about this movie was Dr. Doom.
There you go.
Just
very important thing that he just said, and it is actually going to be my next topic. With every great, excuse my stomach is rumbling here. I hope you all can hear that. With any great hero, you have to have an even greater villain. And to me, Dr. Doom has always been a character on screen that should always come off with a Darth Vader type presence. I remember as a kid when I first seen Darth Vader, this huge guy walking on screen in all black, and his helmet that looks like a skull, and his cape, and his breathing going on. It scared the bejesus out of me. I'm trying not to curse here, but it scared the crap out of me. Even when I became a teenager, there was something about Darth Vader when he came on screen. His presence was like, it was omnipotent. Like, it's very surreal. Like, Noah's a make-believe character, but this is someone, that, look, man, you can, at the snap of a finger, you can snap your neck. I mean, and it's the powerful, booming voice of James Earl Jones, and we didn't even know during the time that that's who the voice of Darth Vader, who he was. And to me, Dr. Doom, when seen on the screen, should have that very same
dynamic.